This video is the golf swing for tall people. Now, whether you are tall or whether you are shorter, the reason the golf swing is harder for tall people is because they're most likely going to have to bend over more to get to the ground in most circumstances. And so the taller you are, the harder it's going to be to stay down in the shot, as most tall people that I've seen really have a hard time of not jumping up out of the shot, because when they're pushing off this lead leg, they're coming up out of the shot and they just have a hard time staying down in the shot. But whether you're tall or whether you're short, the same fundamentals of the swing are going to apply. And I'm going to go step by step to where you know exactly what you need to do if you're tall to stay down in the shot and learn the golf swing. So step one is understanding that we all have our unique swing plane. So if you're tall with short arms, golf is going to be really hard for you. Golf is going to be much harder for you because you're going to have to bend over more. The more you have to bend over to get to the ball, the harder golf is going to be. Because as humans, it's the easiest for us. We don't walk around like this, right? We stand straight up and down and walk. So the more vertical we can be, the easier a game like golf is going to be. So if you really have to bend over, it's going to be harder. But there's a few fundamentals that if you follow will make it much easier and you'll know what you need to do. So that first thing is finding your unique swing plane. So each of us uniquely will swing the club around us. And this is called our swing plane. And this, standing straight up and down, just swinging the club around you, is going to show you how low the club wants to go. And so if you're taller with shorter arms, the club might be up here. And so you're really going to have to bend over to get to the ball. That's just how it's going to be. And then if you're shorter with long arms, that club can be like really low down here to where you only have to bend over a little bit and you can swing really around you. So the first step is finding your unique swing plane. And you can find that with a club, but I'd also recommend finding this with a dumbbell, as a weight is really going to show you how low the dumbbell wants to go. So if you just swing a dumbbell around you like this, the dumbbell wants to go right here. So I'm going to drop the dumbbell, I'm going to grab the club and uncock your wrist, as the wrist uncock when you're hitting the ball. That you don't hit the ball like this, your wrist uncock. So my hands are right here, and I saw that position from swinging the dumbbell around me and where my arms and everything wanted to go. So this is where the club is. Now to get to the ball, I'm going to have to hinge my hips more and more and more, because you can't just bend your lower back forward for an infinite amount. You can only bend your lower back the amount that's going to be unique to you. So how do you figure that out? What am I talking about? You can only bend your lower back the amount that's unique to you. What do I mean? So if I bend over too much, so I don't hinge my hips, I hinge them a little bit, but then I bend forward a ton. Watch what happens as I try to swing back and through fast. I just came up out of the shot. So that's what's happening, is you can't just round your back an infinite amount, because to support a weight and to swing a club fast, the natural position is up here. So if you arch your back and then round it, this is as much as your back is going to round to where you can swing around you with speed. Because as soon as you are down here but then swing fast, you want to come back up here, because your back is only rounded that amount, not this amount. So your back needs to be rounded the right amount, which is right here, not down here. Because if I start down here, this is why a lot of you are going to stand up in the shot, because you're rounding your lower back too much. You need to be taller. But then you're like, how do I even get to the ground? You need to hinge your hips. So you're not starting with an arch to your lower back, because as you can see, I can't turn. You need to round it that right amount you just learned, and now you can get a full turn. So it's that right amount of rounding. And now that you know that right amount of rounding, you don't arch it and then hinge your hips. You keep that lower back rounded so the club gets lower when I round my back, and then hinge your hips. So this amount of hip hinge is what you're going to need, because you're going to swing the club around you at that position, because you found your unique swing plane. In other words, how your arms swing around you, and then you rounded your lower back, and now you just hinge your hips to the ball. And so Once we know exactly how we need to set up, now it's about maintaining that same position through the swing and not standing up, and this is where it gets a little bit harder. So we're in this position. Now what we need to do is focus on not lifting your head up. So you're keeping your head down and you're turning like this. So if you get the dumbbell, and I just want to keep this simple. So you found out where you need to set up at, and now you need to stay at that same spacing from the ball. So because you set up with this amount of lower back bend or rounding to it, you can only get the dumbbell low, and the only way I can get the dumbbell lower than this is to hinge my hips. And see, now the dumbbell can stay low and you can start hitting the ground, because a lot of people that I've seen that are taller have trouble even hitting the ground because they want to come up. And so you're really so try to return the weight to exactly where you started, down here. And so to do that, you're going to need to turn properly without bringing your head up. Because as soon as you start coming up out of the shot, look, it's going to be impossible to get this dumbbell back down here when I'm swinging so fast. So you really need to turn correctly in the swing. So real quick, one drill I can give you for that is when you're in your setup position that you just learned, work on going back and through, keeping this club on the ground the entire time. As soon as this club comes up, you're gonna come up. And if this club comes up off the ground, look, it's gonna be almost impossible for me to get the club back on the ground. So we're turning and tilting down, getting back, and then turning and tilting. So turn and tilt, back to the ball, turn and tilt. And what that's gonna do is maintain the same spacing from the ball so you don't come up out of the shot. Another thing you can do is Ben Hogan's elbows drill and attach your elbows to your body and let the club fall, like this. And so get in that setup, and so you're not coming up out of the shot, because if you keep your elbows attached to your body, you can see there's almost no chance I can get back to the ball. You have to stay down in the shot and turn and tilt, keeping your head where it is, and then you don't come up. You have to turn and tilt down and really stay down, or even feel like you're going towards the ground with your head, for some of you. So you're keeping your head where it is, and you're turning and turning through the ball, and you're really staying down in the shot. And so that's how you can start hitting the ground, and hitting the ground right in front of the ball. And so if you're really tall with short arms, that's just unfortunate. Like, golf just might not be your game. And so if you're really tall and you have short arms and you're telling all your friends like, man, golf just naturally is just harder for me, I agree with you. If you have short arms and you're 7 feet tall, you're gonna have to bend over so much to get to the ball. Golf will be really hard. I rarely see people like this, but they are out there, and golf is a little bit harder. So you really need to practice on those correct fundamentals. And this drill right here is gonna probably save your golf game. Just really practice swinging as fast as possible and just staying down in the shot without coming up, because I can't hit it if I come up with my elbows attached to my body. You have to swing around you and hit in front of the ball and hit the ground with your elbows attached to your body. As that's showing, you know how to move your body to maintain that same spacing from the ball. Because I'm starting with my elbows attached to my body in this position where the club's on the ground. So if I can't return it back to the ground, I just came up out of the shot, and it's not clicking with my head why that's happening, and you have to feel that correct movement. But anyways, if you're a tall person and you're struggling with golf, I hope you found some helpful tips in this video. I have a full course, step-by-step, to learn this swing method that I teach, and you learned part of that in this video. And I have that link in the description, manningolf.com, full course with all 4 fundamentals of the swing that I teach. And you learned step 1, which is setting up on your unique swing plane. But again, I hope you found some helpful tips in this video, and I hope the rest of your day goes well.